Hi, so I've been experimenting with ChatGPT a lot, made a couple of videos before as well. And one of the use cases that I wanted to check out was the use case of talk to your document, talk to your PDF. You hear a lot about this. And of course, ChatGPT 4 now has built-in ability. You don't need a third-party plugin for that. And so I thought, let's try it out. And the document I've picked is the mobile cellular policy from 2004. And the reason I picked this policy document is because back in the day, I spent a lot of time reading this document when I was working in the industry. So I don't remember it word for word, obviously, but I should be able to make some sense of the answers and just make sure that it's not giving me nonsensical answers. So I'm just going to upload it here, ask it a few questions, ask it to summarize it, but also I'm going to ask it to rank it, to give it some kind of a judgment and opinion. And I'm very curious to see how it will do on that parameter. So let's just get into it. Okay, so we're going to start with uploading the document, obviously. And I'm just going to ask for give me a quick 10-point summary of this document, right? So I just want to start with an overview, and then we'll dig in deeper and ask it more specific questions. But let's see how well it does at summarizing. This is, by the way, what is it? It's like a 23-page document. It's a fairly technical document, a lot of diagrams and appendices, as you would expect. So it's a pretty, realistic use case. This is exactly the kind of document in which you might actually need help rather than a simple essay or something. So it has finished reading it, and here is a 10-point summary. Okay. Objective aim is to promote efficient use of radio spectrum, consumer choice, private investment, all good. As of November 2003, Pakistan has 4 mobile operators serving approximately 3 million subscribers, significant growth in the past 2 years. Okay. Pakistan economy showed strong performance 2003 with low inflation and those were the days. High GDP growth, it did. Radio spectrum management document emphasizes the efficient and optimal use of spectrum, correct? Mobile sector roadmap, 15-year tenure. This all seems pretty good. Applications on PTCL, of course, this was important because it was the incumbent, and so it had to facilitate market liberalization, which it did. USF and promotion contribution. Yes, this was very important. So it has caught on to that as well. Incentives will be classified as an industry, not just a service. This is something that became a sort of point of discussion quite a bit later on, but it has caught on to the important one, and that's good. And the regulatory framework. So far, so good. I think it has picked up quite nicely all the important points. Let's see. What kind of obligations will the licensees have? Okay, so they get the license, but they also have certain obligations with them, right? So this is what I'm asking it to now say. The obligations of license under the blah, blah, blah will be the following. Coverage and rollout requirements, absolutely right. Must meet specific targets for network coverage and rollout. Quality service standards, infrastructure sharing are encouraged. Yes, at that time it was encouraged. That was the right term. National roaming, interconnection with the operators, mobile number portability was in. They are required to support mobile number portability, which allows customers. Yes, this was not implemented till much later, of course, but yes, contribution to universal fund, payment of fees, of course, reporting and compliance, and so on. So pretty decent summary. But I'm curious, what are the specific coverage requirements? Let's just ask it even more specific questions. What are the specific coverage requirements? Okay, because I think they were specified in some detail in this policy, and so it should be able to suss them out and give me a nice summary if it knows what it's doing. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Licenses are obligated to roll out coverage to 70% of the Tehsil headquarters within 4 years. There is a minimum requirement of 10% of the Tehsil coverage in all provinces. Performance bonds are there. Value performance bond is $15 million. Oh, perfect. Beautiful. Absolutely right. Caught perfectly well. So this is done very well. It has given me a nice overview. It has given me some specific answers on obligations, and then digging in deeper, it's just given me exactly the right answer on the coverage obligations. So far, so good. But now I want it to give me a sort of a ranking. So give me some, how would you rank this policy? So I'll just ask an open-ended question. What would you rank? Now, mind you, ChatGPT is not a policy expert per se. So I'm curious what it will say, this document. How would you rank this document? Let's just ask. It's a very, very open-ended question, and I'm just curious to see. Right, so what is the approach? Several criteria can be used: clarity and comprehensiveness. It's quite clear and comprehensive. Policy objectives. They're well aligned with global standards. Okay, so it's checking out, I suppose, with other documents that it has sort of come across in the past or it knows about. So objectives are well aligned with global standards and aim to foster growth. Regulatory document establishes a robust regulatory framework. Good. Innovation technology neutral. The policy promotes technology neutral. It did promote technology neutrality and seems forward looking, considering the data publication, which is crucial for adapting to rapid changes in telecom. This is actually a very good comment because, yes, mind you, when the operators tried to do technology neutrality, it became a bone of contention later on, but the document itself specifically said that it will be, and so it was very forward looking. So this is actually a very good comment. Emphasis on investment, infrastructure, etc. are all positive impacts. Focusing on quality, we'll get consumer benefits. Rural coverage is covered, feasibility. The targets and applications such as the coverage appear challenging but feasible. So this is a very judgmental statement to make. And again, without being an expert in this area, it is making this judgment. And again, my assumption is that it's making this based upon all the policy documents that sort of it must have gone over during its learning phase, and so it is able to make such a comment. But it's a fair comment, again, based upon my own judgment and my own experience of it. It's a fair comment. It was a challenging but a feasible in hindsight. It was a very good document, in fact. Alignment with international best practices seems to align with the best practices. Absolutely right. Implementation and monitoring mechanisms for the document outlines clear guidelines. Effectiveness would ultimately depend on its implementation, obviously. Overall, this document can be ranked for its comprehensive approach, clear objectives, and alignment with both national and international standards. Success of such policies depends on implementation. All right. Let's just ask directly for any weaknesses. Weaknesses in this policy. Any weakness in this policy? Okay. Let's see. Let's see where it comes up. Again, very open. But so far, I'm very impressed. I mean, if I was sort of reviewing this for the first time and if I had this tool available to me, this would really get me into the document very, very quickly. But again, while it's doing this, do make sure you read, and I always point this out, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Consider checking important information. So you do need to read the document. You need to know a little bit about it. But this is giving you a very, very good set of answers. Look at this. The policy being from 2004 might not fully account for the rapid pace of technological advancement in the telecom sector. Technologies evolve quickly, policies need regular updates. Absolutely fair comment. You can't just make a policy and forget about it. You have to update it. Implementation challenges, it's talked about before. Financial burden on new entrants. The requirement of $15 billion performance bond for new entrants could be a significant financial barrier, potentially limiting the entry of small or newer companies. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Although I think that was by design, but it's a fair comment. Spectrum management. While the policy emphasizes the efficient use of spectrum, the specifics of spectrum management could be complex. Policy might not adequately. So this is more of a generic comment. Policy's impact on competition, particularly in terms of balancing the interests of existing large players and new entrants, might be a concern. It was a concern. There is always a risk of market dominance by few players, which could stifle competition. Well, there was a lot of competition, but yes, the market did not grow beyond the initial size once the licenses were awarded. So this is our ranking of this document. How would I evaluate ChatGPT's performance? I would evaluate it very well. I mean, we used to hire consultants to do this kind of thing, and they would basically come back with this kind of analysis and replies. And so, you get this for free. Again, it is important to emphasize you should understand the domain. So it's not going to replace someone who has no knowledge of the domain. But honestly, this is very, very impressive. If you have this by your side, and I could just go on asking more and more specific questions and opinions. And again, as I always say, this is today. It's a rapidly moving field. It's going to get a lot better going forward. So yeah, yes, ChatGPT 4 can definitely review your PDFs and give you very, very sensible answers on fairly technical documents. The future is very exciting indeed. Thanks for watching.